On a cold night in January, two friends decided to make a podcast. A podcast different than many others. Made for the nerds, the geeks, and the weirdos. Forrest.
There's no way I'd be able to keep it PG-13. I say fuck way too many times.
Jeff.
I was like, 18 or 19 like this. So I don't even remember what the hell was happening.
This is the 16-bit video dudes.
Welcome everybody to the very first 16-bit video dudes podcast, starring me, Forrest, from Retro or Die on YouTube.
And I am Jazzy Jeff, who you may know or may not know from Jazzy Jeff's Trading Card Reviews. If you didn't know, now you know. That is my trading card review series on YouTube, amongst other silly, wacky videos. You may also know me from my Twitter or my Facebook page at JazzyJ714.
So like Jeff said, knowledge is power, and the more you know can hurt you less than what you don't know. Kind of like the Candyman coming for you in the mirror if you don't know how to defeat him. So yeah, today is our very first episode, and we're going to break down what you guys can expect from this show and how dedicated we are to this show. As you can tell by the soundtrack and the booming soundtrack and the sound effects that are gonna thrill your ears, we are professional.
And I think this would be the perfect opportunity for both of us to tell a little bit about ourselves and what we are into, our hobbies, our interests, and maybe just a little FYI, like maybe one fact that nobody knows.
Tell us, the audience, Jeff, about yourself.
So I'm Jazzy Jeff, and like I said before, you guys may or may not know me. My presence is small, but my presence is strong.
Like Godzilla's cock.
I'm sort of like that little quiche dish at the family party that nobody wants to touch because it looks really small and gross, but it smells really good, and if you taste it, it's like fantastic.
Like cum.
Don't make everything sexual. Listen, I'm worried about my fans. You're going to offend some of my fans.
Well, just so you know, to everyone who's Jazzy Jeff's fans, I'm a little offensive, and I'm okay with that. That's my side of the show, so you can eat a dick. Eat a dick.
You better edit a lot of this out.
I'm leaving that part in.
I'm too sober to be cursing and stuff, because I'm telling you right now, for my fans that are listening to this, I don't know because this is the first episode, so I have no idea what's going to be left in and what's going to be left out. But if this is left in, this is just a fair warning. I have a feeling this podcast will be out before my DVD drinking series is out, so expect more raunchier talk during my DVD review series.
We're going to be as real with you guys as possible. A lot of people see me and they see Jeff, they get this image of a YouTuber, and they make up these own stories of their mind, who they might be in real life, how they act, who they talk to, what they talk about. Me and Jeff, we have become friends through YouTube, and I'm sure at the time Jeff probably had a very skewed maybe thought of how I might be in person, or in real life, how I might talk and act. And I mean, Jeff, what do you think? Do I seem a lot different now that you actually know me?
Yes and no. I mean, I tend to have sort of my character, and I tend to be actually a little bit more reserved. Not to bring attention to them because they're so goddamn popular, but it's the same thing I hear all the time about the Game Chasers. Everybody that meets the Game Chasers, they say in real life they're so quiet, they're so laid back, they're so reserved, they're not all about look at me, look at me, look at me. But when you watch their videos, they're very in your face. They're very fanatical. They're very like hyped up. And like I tend to be a little bit like hyped up in my videos, but I think in real life I'm a little bit more laid back. Where with you tend to be a little bit more reserved in your videos. But I still feel like your personality shines through on the more personal videos that you do. I mean, for example, your vlogs, your personality definitely comes out. For your reviews and things like that, your pickups, you tend to be slightly more reserved.
I guess that's true. I try to hold, I guess, somewhat of a professional manner, as professional can be, as being a fuck like I am. But anyway, yeah, so we're going to try to keep it as real with you guys as possible, but at the same time, we are characters when we're on camera or when we're recording, in a way, because fuck, you got to be entertaining. You can't be unentertaining. You got to make it funny. Otherwise, what's the point?
Although I think I have the, not to brag, but I definitely have that personality that is sort of a character in and of itself.
Yes,
So
if I know none of you can see this because this is a podcast. Jeff is dressed like he was a Nickelodeon host from the 1990s, and he's rubbing butter lotion all over his hands. And get used to that laugh of creepiness.
Butter lotion.
Well, it is. It's butter lotion. He's got a fancy wine glass. He's almost like a very fancy porn star mixed in with a Nickelodeon host. So just imagine that.
Okay, I think we need to get on to the intros.
All right, go for it, Jeff.
I go by Jazzy or Jazzy Jeff. It's a nickname that's kind of stuck with me for almost half a decade, a little more than like 6-7 years. Sort of just a joke between some friends and coworkers. So for those who think I'm stealing it off of the DJ, I'm not trying to.
What DJ is this?
DJ Jazzy Jeff, the Fresh Prince. Everybody knows that.
I don't know who the fuck that is.
That's Will Smith. You don't know who DJ Jazzy Jeff is, the Fresh Prince and the Fresh Prince?
I didn't know the Fresh Prince's real name in the show. No, I just assumed it was Will or something.
Yeah, like Fresh Prince was the name of the show, and he was a rapper, and he had a DJ called Jazzy Jeff, and there's a lot of people that call me out, and they say, Jazzy Jeff, that's the rapper, and the thing is, though, my name's not DJ Jazzy Jeff, it's just Jazzy Jeff.
Oh, here we go. More lotion is coming out like a stream from a faucet from a porn star's dick.
All right, so as we move along, now that we got over the name part of it, so a couple things about me you guys may know, you may not know. Number one, I'd say my number one favorite thing, my favorite pastime, is collecting VHS tapes. I'm a huge VHS fanatic, aficionado, collector, whatever you want to call it.
Rain Man.
Uh-oh, fart.
Yeah, Charlie Babbitt, I'll hold.
Fart.
Did you fart, Ray?
Fart.
Did you fucking fart?
Fart.
Oh, man. Look at this. How can you stand that?
I don't mind it.
Exactly. I've always been a fan of VHS tapes. It's sort of been a norm for me. I don't go out of my way to collect them because I think it's cool or niche. It's just the norm for me. I grew up with them. I've always been around them. I never really found any other format interesting to collect the way I find VHS tapes. Another, I guess, older format that really wiggles my jiggles. I'd say the Atari 2600. I cannot say enough about it. I actually just recently started collecting it within the past maybe 2 years almost, but got really serious in 2016. And it's just kind of turned into an obsession. I promised myself I would not buy the variants, and here I am several months later picking up the variants.
Don't feel bad about that. I think that happens to anybody that starts when they're like, you know what? I'm just going to get what I remember as a kid or what I really wanted and I can never afford because my parents didn't want to buy it for me or whatever the reason is. And then a couple years down the line, it's like, oh, you know what? There's the same game, but it has 5 screws on the back. Ooh, there's the same game, but look at the label. It's different. I need it. So don't worry, Jeff. You're in a safe place now. Talk to Dr. Forrest from Retro or Die. I'm here to consult you.
I like that. So I'll put a period there. That's the end of the Atari. I mean, because I could talk about that until I'm blue in the face. I'm sure we'll have a whole podcast episode.
Oh, I'm sure. And then the people from Atari Age will come over and fucking try to rape our podcast and belittle it because, man, you're not saying this game right, or no, you're not talking about this label variant that came out in this kind of city in 1978.
This is true. This is all very true. I guess the third biggest thing about me, I feel like everybody knows this. Any of my friends on Facebook, especially Facebook or YouTube, or fans for that matter, Simpsons. I mean, what can I say that hasn't already been said about The Simpsons? I have everything. I have clothing. I have the movies. I have the tapes. I have the DVDs. Well, not the movies, but the DVDs. I have video games. I have books. I mean, Simpsons related, you name it. I have the dolls.
Now all you have left that you need to do is go to Universal Studios and get the giant fucking donut that they sell you can eat there.
Oh, man, if I went there, I think I'd die. Like, I heard about that, a year ago, 2 years ago? That's still pretty new. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know.
I've been there. I've been there. It's cool because you can buy beer and it really is the Duff beer.
I can't even imagine. I think I would just literally just die. I can narrow down my favorite season easily. I mean, the first by far is my favorite. A lot of people dislike it. There's something special, unique, and very different. It was very special. The Matt Groening really had his fingerprints put into that. If you were an early fan of his School is Hell, Life is Hell book series, comic series, favorite character, I mean, Hans Moleman really comes to mind. I'd say Hans Moleman is my number 2 favorite character. He's that old man that's really, he sounds like this. I was saying Boo Earns. So some people might remember him. He's the old man that gets hit in the crotch with the football. And now my number 1, Forrest, thank you. I actually can't answer that question. I sometimes forget about it. He was a character that was only in season 1. They killed him off. He was a fantastic character. He was Bleeding Gums Murphy, and he was a jazz musician that Lisa was obsessed with. Brilliant character, absolutely phenomenal. Okay, so I have my 1, number 2. If I had to do a special character,
drum roll, please.
Only because he's dead and he passed away, I would say Phil Hartman's, both of his characters were absolutely intelligently brilliant. He was such a smart comedian. Lionel Hutz, the lawyer, and Troy McClure, the actor, everybody knows, hi, I'm Troy McClure. You might remember me from How to Take Care of Elephant Stool and How to Kill Flies in a Garden. It's a toss-up. My 2 favorite types of episodes are any kind of flashback episode where they do a clip show and they always make fun of it. Like, the name of the one episode was It's Come to This, a Simpsons clip show, because clip shows are always really shitty. And not to plug myself, but if you guys saw my one Trading Cards episode, I think it was almost one of the last ones from season 3, I do a montage of me saying, hello, welcome, hello, oh my God, another episode. That I was sort of imitating that Simpsons clip show where they show a clip from all these different episodes. And a lot of sitcoms do that. Home Improvement, Family Matters, Full House, Step by Step.
I hear it's like some of the most popular things that The Simpsons ever did was the Treehouse horror thing or whatever.
That was going to be my second thing. Like, my second one is the Treehouse of Horror episodes. / the musical episodes. A lot of the episodes that had music or people singing in it, I kind of just combined those all together. Any of the episodes that were like big budget like that. This is the part where the viewers fell asleep. So Forrest, go ahead.
The listeners, you mean?
Oh yes. God, I hope no one's watching this. The 16-bit Video Dudes is brought to you by viewers like you.
And listeners like your mom.
Oh, fuck, I screwed it up. I can't believe I
See,
fucked
Jeff isn't used to the podcast atmosphere yet. He's still thinking that we're going to be on live TV.
The 16-bit Video Dudes is brought to you by listeners like you. I figure I love talking, so this is the last one. So for any of my listeners out there, any of our listeners out there, any of Forrest and Jazzy listeners out there, if you guys have not fallen asleep yet, I'm going to say one more thing about me, and then I'm going to throw the question back at Forrest and ask him some questions. The final thing that really heats my meat.
It's the final countdown.
I would say anything black and white or Universal horror related or old school horror related or like I'd say it's probably a tie between Dracula and Frankenstein, maybe Invisible Man. They're all so good. Even
how about the greatest mix all together? Just do Abbott and Costello meets the monsters, and then you get all of them.
All right, so now I'm gonna lose points.
Oh my god! Get ready to everyone boo. The boo track is gonna go in a second.
I don't like Abbott and Costello.
What the fuck do you mean you don't like Abbott and Costello? They are two of the greatest comedian teams of their generation.
Well, I've only seen like 2 or 3 of their films, and I just don't appreciate their humans.
Which ones?
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was fucking awful. Like, that was really hard to make it through. I saw one of the mummies because they had like multiple mummy ones, and I forget which one it was. They did like 2 or 3 of the mummy ones, or one of the mummy ones I saw. It was just the mummy. I never saw any of the monster mashups.
Oh my god, those are the best ones. My 3 favorites: Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein. That's what it's technically called. Meets Frankenstein, has Dracula, Frankenstein, the Invisible Man, and the Wolf Man. Even though the Invisible Man's only in it for like 30 seconds at the very end. And then Abbott and Costello meet the Invisible Man. And then Abbott and Costello join the Foreign Legion. It's fucking amazing.
I just don't care for the humor, and I don't care for what they do with the Universal monster movies, because I actually enjoy the more serious movies like the originals. Some of the sequels delve into the more silly or ridiculousness, and I just like, if that's what you're looking for, I can respect that, but it's not what I'm looking for. And it's not so much that I don't like them, I just don't like the movies they're in. I don't. Did you hate when
they met Scooby-Doo?
I didn't even see that, dude. I even saw when John Cena met Scooby-Doo.
Oh my god, that will just fucking lose you points right there.
And I saw the one when the Globetrotters met Scooby-Doo, when Batman and Robin met Scooby-Doo, when your mom met Scooby-Doo. Like, I saw those episodes, but
I know what your mom did last summer. I saw that one. All right, let's go to the next topic. This is not good. Right. This is boring.
You're boring. I think our viewers want to hear about our thoughts on 30s, 40s. Go, let me.
Yeah, they do. They do. I'm sure they do.
You should have asked me about Bela Lugosi. Now that's a fucking topic.
Bela Lugosi is in the Abbott and Costello Meets the Monsters movie.
Oh, I bet he is. See, I would watch those films just for him because that's pretty awesome. He's amazing.
Why do you have the camera so close to your face right now? Nobody can see this, but he's putting the camera while he's talking about Bela Lugosi like right up to his lips, like he's gonna throat fuck the camera or something.
Oh my god, I'm gonna lose so many. Just like Pat always says, I'm gonna lose so many subscribers.
Oh my god. Now he's just throwing shit around.
So that is all I have to say about black and white films. If you guys want to learn or hear more about black and white films, stay tuned because I definitely am planning on doing some video segments where I talk about them on my YouTube channel. So I'll save the boring stuff for the YouTube channel. But like I promised you guys earlier, I'm going to grill Forrest now. I think I stole the spotlight long enough. I think it's only fair to ask him. So I did 4 things. So let's see if we can squeeze 4 things out of Forrest. So Forrest, take a moment.
Well, I don't even need to do that. First, I'll just start talking about myself.
Okay.
Anyway.
So take it away.
So yeah, now that my good friend Jazzy Jeff, look, check out his YouTube channel, again, another shameless plug, is done, I am Forrest from the YouTube channel Retro or Die, a YouTube channel dedicated to video games, old video games, new video games, the community of video games, and how we can fix and change the video game market. That's pretty much what that whole channel is dedicated to. And I also have a second channel where I let it all hang out in vlog form called Vlog or Die. And that's just where I get on the real nitty-gritty and show my real personality of why I am who I am and what I think about that's not video game related. If you were to ask me what my favorite top 3 things were, I'd have to say the Alien movie franchise, Super Nintendo games.
Just want to throw this out there, viewers. Every time I ask him what he's eating,
They are listeners, Jeff.
Oh my god, I'm never going to get this right. You better cut that out. Okay, so here we go. Take 2.
And The Shining. It's one of my most favorite films and books. Jack Nicholson's performance, it's one of his best performances, if not his best performance in a movie ever.
I love The Shining. That's one of my favorite second favorite Kubrick film.
That is my favorite Kubrick film. I think Clockwork Orange has to be 2.
For me, it's 2001: A Space Odyssey, then The Shining, and then Clockwork Orange, like right next.
Number 3, for me, I have to say it, Full Metal Jacket.
Quit, you slimy fucking walrus fucking piece of shit! Get the fuck off of my obstacle! Get the fuck down off of my obstacle! Now!
I still haven't seen Eyes Wide Shut. I need to see that.
Oh god, dude. I don't know. It definitely has the Kubrick feel. Definitely has the Kubrick feel. You got beautiful shots of everything that's going on. The buildings look amazing inside because I kind of laid it out for you earlier when we were talking privately that the buildings are all laid out like a giant sex club that's really made for rich people. But then the whole story just deravels because of one certain person, Tom Cruise.
I bet Nicole Kidman's awesome in it.
Yeah, she's, back when she was hot. I saw her, what she looked like recently at the Golden Globe Awards. She was handing out one. She looks rough, dude. She looks like Skeletor now.
I haven't actually seen her, so I don't know.
I'm telling you right now. Skeletor. Just imagine that, and you got it. In a shiny dress. Why do you have a banana?
Hey, listen. This is between me and you. The viewers don't need to know everything that's happening in the game, okay? I don't need you to ask, hey, Jeff, why do you have a banana? Hey, Jeff, why do you have coconut lotion? Hey, Jeff, why are you putting lotion on the banana? This is none of your business, okay? What I do in my game,
why you game nude? Is that what you're gonna say?
Viewers,
listeners, Jeff, listeners, they're listening to this.
listeners, you heard it first, okay?
Jeff's gonna freak the fuck out.
This guy. That's all I gotta say. That this guy ...
And they're gonna be like, fuck yeah, he makes this show amazing. Jeff's talking about black and white movies, and Forrest is talking about the dildo while he's holding it, while he's talking about the movie, Bela Lugosi.
I just want to say a very special thanks to Forrest's viewers, my viewers, any new viewers. Thank you guys so much for checking out tonight's this particular podcast. As Forrest said, this is our very first podcast. I tried to get one going before, so I'm as quiet as I am being. I'm very, very excited and ecstatic. This is a new thing for me. It's kind of a new thing for him. So I cannot stress enough. Thank you guys for listening and participating in today's episode. And I cannot stress enough, if you like tonight's episode, whenever you listen to it, please give us feedback. Please like this video. Please comment this video. Please reach out to us on our respectable social media websites. We will have those available in the detail section below the video, of course. So just throwing that out there. We appreciate feedback. And also, if you guys have questions for Forrest, if you have questions for myself, please leave them in the comments section, and we will absolutely make time to check them out.
And yeah, so those are all the things that I like doing on my channel. And one other thing that I know that me and Jeff are very passionate about, and I think would make a good topic of discussion, we both agreed for this episode, is arcade memories. You know, those things that you used to see back in the day when you would go to Chuck E. Cheese or your local mall. You know, they used to have these things called arcades. If there's anyone under the age of 18 doesn't know what an arcade is, it's a little machine you would go and put money into, actual physical money. It didn't take your credit card like most places do now. And you'd play video games, and you'd sit there and waste all of your allowance until your parents either yelled at you to leave or whatever, or how much money you could beg off your grandma to end up going. So with that, Jeff, take it away.
I would say, if I had to break it down, because there's a lot of parts of the arcade. You have your actual video game cabinets. You have your pinball section. You have your chance games or grab machines. You have your skee ball or action machines like basketball or air hockey. And you might even have a snack lounge or pizza area, which is usually my favorite because there's fucking pizza there. However, or you might even have laser tag. If it's a really nice place, you'll have a laser tag. So those are kind of the 6 segments I would break an arcade into. My favorite one would be the pinball, hands down. Hopefully none of my family's listening, because last time my family was listening, they caused a stir. But I'm gonna get a little truthful here.
Well, I can edit. I can edit out whatever you don't want in here.
No, I don't care. I don't care. Like,
so you're gonna be like,
it's kind of a joke, because it's an inside joke between me and you.
All right.
You know how my kids react. But in all truthfulness, I don't get along very well with my father. But I will say, in regards to arcades, I'm very, very thankful that my father introduced me to pinball machines. I'm sure that I came across pinball machines before this memory, but one of my earliest memories was back in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It was Fox Chase / Borough Home area. This was the Roosevelt Mall. Some Philadelphians said Roosevelt, and some Philadelphians said Roosevelt. And I was one of the ones that said Roosevelt. So this was the Roosevelt Mall. And they had an arcade next to Jim's Steaks. What else would there be in Philadelphia? Steak place, Jim's Steaks. Right next to Jim's Steaks was Champs. Champs Arcade. I love that name. It's fucking awesome.
Let's go, champ!
Exactly. Shams Arcade was one of my earliest arcade memories, and despite my relationship with my father, he was always willing to take my sister and I out to the arcade for, to check out different games, to win prizes. He would always help us. He was always really good at making sure that we walked out of the arcade with prizes. And I will have to say thank you for that. You win tickets, you get a stupid mustache, and you get a mustache comb. That's awesome. But aside from that, he really just drilled home pinballs for me. And I remember him telling me, I had this growing up. This was important. This was special. And he actually told me, I remember this in the 90s. This is a really awesome gaming memory. He even said to me, he showed me, he goes, look over there. Do you see any lines? Do you see anybody waiting for those games? And I said, no. And then he pointed to, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, and all the other popular arcade cabinets at the time. And I'm like, he's like, look at all the lines. Look at all the kids. And, I'm like, oh, God, that sucks. And I thought those games were cool. But I looked over and I said, wow, I have a smorgasbord of 12 different, 15 different, 20 different, whatever arcade we were at, pinball machines, and nobody's playing these things. Nobody is on them. And he would give me a stack of tokens, and I would play them. And the pinball machine games lasted so much longer, for me at least, than the actual arcade game, because if you weren't good at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles beat up, or the Simpsons beat 'em up, you would die right away. And it was fun. I mean, I love those games. I love them so much.
Which notoriously, both, like, all of those arcades anyway, Ninja Turtles, Simpsons, Golden Axe, all of those, Street Fighter, all of those were specifically set up, too, to be on super high difficulty to just keep you eating your quarters away to get more money anyway. So it's not even, like, about skill level. It's just that, the fucking Ice Boss in the X-Men arcade, is his difficulty is you're hitting him and you're doing like 1 point of damage a piece, even though you used a special.
I agree. And I won't lie. I mean, there was some hard pinball machines, but there was some pinball machines that even a youngster like myself could keep the game going for a good 5-10 minutes. And 5, 10, 15 minutes on one machine is actually a pretty goddamn long time in arcade, in the arcade world, in arcade time, as they say. For our listeners, of course. So yeah, getting back to it. Yeah, I mean, it was sort of magical. It was just, and it stuck with me. And fast forwarding, all these years later, whenever I come across one at a beat up one at a bar, or a greasy one at a pizza joint, or an overlooked one at somewhere really random like a public library, it's like,
what?
I've or to come across one at an Arby's and you're like, oh God, why is Arby's still a thing? In 2015, 3 years ago, but or 2 years ago, but that's what I'm saying. When you come across these machines, what?
That's just so fucking weird. I've never heard of a pinball machine being in a library, let alone an Arby's.
Philly is a weird place, but the point is, you come across these things, and I feel like nostalgia is just such a weak word to use. It's more of like an experience of like, you hear these people who are spiritual, or you hear these people that are vegan or gluten-free, and they have these like experiences with whatever in their life, and that's basically what I'm getting at. Is you have this weird experience, you have a flashback, you get this weird feeling in your stomach, and I'm 29 and I still get that feeling. The Elvira machine, I really remember that one.
Oh yeah, great machine. Get distracted a lot of the time by that one.
Also, like, pinball on the PC, pinball on the Nintendo, pinball on,
oh yeah,
Sega's, the Sega Nintendo or the Super Genesis.
Yeah, Super Pinball on Super Nintendo was actually pretty decent. I still play pinball on my PS4 today. I play the Zen Pinball game, and I love them just because they keep coming out with these brand new unique tables, like the fucking Alien franchise tables, and Doom, and Fallout, and X-Men, and Carnage, and everything. The Aliens, for Aliens, you know, the second film, that table is probably one of the coolest and most true, sadly, one of the more truer games that you'd ever see for an Aliens game, just because it holds up directly with the movie. Everything has
Better than actual big budget, like.
Yeah, it has Sigourney Weaver standing in there with the flamethrower with the queen alien behind her that will eat the ball, and when it eats the ball, it shits out an egg to give you an extra ball. It's awesome. You get to control. You even get to control at some parts for like a special stage. You get to control the tank thing that Ripley drove when she was getting the Colonial Marines out of the hive.
You usually only see the yellow robot thing. You never see the tank.
Yeah. Arcades were special for me growing up because, of course, you know, we had the Super Nintendo, we had the NES at home, but, you know, it's always limited play when you're at home, and you know specifically when you're going out to get pizza and all the grown-ups are going and stuff like that, you know as the kid that the one place you're going to be able to spend all of your time and not get fucked with is in the arcade room or something like that. So I still live in California, and I grew up, you know, going to Santa Cruz, California almost, you know, every weekend. And it was a special time because even though this is going to sound fucked up, my parents got divorced when I was about 8 years old. And even though it was fucked up, the special thing that sticks out was being taken to the arcades by my grandparents and my dad. And we would go to the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk and spend hours at the pinball machines and hours at the arcades. And like I said, I spent a lot of time, probably most of my time, playing the HBO Tales from the Crypt pinball machine because I was watching with my dad, even though I was only 8 years old and I didn't know what tits and sex really were. I was like, this is fucking awesome, just because of how scary it is. And the Crypt Keeper is still one of my favorite characters out of pop culture HBO fucking movie land that you can ever get. Second to that, like I said, would be what did I say? The Terminator machine, because of fucking Judgment Day, another great film, great machine. Had the fucking gun to shoot the ball out, and every time you shot it, Schwarzenegger would make another one-liner. I think he had like 6 different unique lines he would say when you shoot the ball. And then, yeah, like Jeff said, if you had rich people that were going with you, normally it was like a rich kid's birthday party. They'd have the laser arcade fucking thing within the arcade thing. But I never, ever participated. Yeah, I never participated in laser tag. I always went straight to the arcade and I never left. So that was my arcade memories. They're some of the...
I always thought, not to cut you off, but I always thought laser tag was lame.
Yeah, laser tag is fucking lame. You know why? It's like they come up with a bunch of rules. Like, you can't run. Well, it's laser tag. Oh, you can't jump over the obstacles. Well, it's laser tag. Oh, no, we just want you to walk in place, and we're going to kind of shoot some, fog out. But, you're wearing a glowing jacket, so everyone's going to see you anyway. And just do what we said, or we're going to kick you out. It was weird. But the cool thing was, the arcades... for us today is like, for anyone that grew up in the 80s and the 90s and before that, arcades were common things for us. It was something you'd see at every mall, almost near every restaurant. I mean, Chuck E. Cheese now is a shell of itself, and this is coming from a guy who's been to Chuck E. Cheese within the last year for a kid's party. Chuck E. Cheese now is basically nothing but child slot machines. Basically, it's kids gambling to an extreme level, which is a whole nother discussion we could get into altogether. We're teaching kids to be addicted to gambling before they even know what gambling is. But Chuck E. Cheese used to be nothing but arcade systems. Yeah, it used.
Sorry, man, I gotta throw this in there. How about that fucking token or quarter machine where the thing would move forward? And then
oh
you're trying
yeah.
to knock quarters and off,
it almost never works.
drop your quarter in and it never, and you see him getting pushed further and further to the edge.
Yeah, that was like that fucking Mario Party game where you have to do the same thing with the mushrooms. Anyway.
See, I never played.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, Chuck E. Cheese, man, it was nothing but arcades. They had, I remember even back before it was pulled because it was too violent, was Primal Rage at Chuck E. Cheese. Now you're watching dinosaurs rip each other's throats out and eat each other.
Why would they even put that game in a fucking
Because, dude, we grew up, us as kids, we were given TV shows and arcades and movies because we weren't dumb. We were taught about life and death. People can get their feelings hurt. Peanut butter didn't kill everyone on a daily basis, and everyone wasn't running around losing their mind like, oh, gluten's gonna give me cancer. You know, it wasn't, you know.
Well, it was also the fact that people didn't know what the fuck video games were, so they didn't regulate them because they didn't think they were anything bad. And then all of a sudden, one person paid attention to it and went,
Mortal Kombat.
I think there's violence or something. I'm not quite sure what's happening here.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. I mean,
It's the same thing. Well, see, that's another reason why I gravitate so much towards pinball, because it's the same thing with pinball. When pinball machines came out, they were banned in multiple states because people considered pinball a form of gambling, which was completely fucked up. Like, that was insane.
that is insane, especially because you don't win anything. There's no prize.
No. And then aside from that, people looked down on pinball machines because where were they placed? In seedy bars, in disgusting, dirty, you know, these little crap shack bars that, you know, usually got nothing but drunks and fights. So then people would say, oh, well, you're you know, if you play pinball, then you're attracting a bad crowd.
Man, that's the place I want to play pinball. I want to play it where there's cheap beer, where people are drunk and fighting each other, and there's, you know, hookers walking around. That's where I'll play pinball. I'll feel at home there.
I couldn't agree more, brother.
Fuck Uber and all that shit. Oh, I want to go to the nice bar. I want to go to the one where, you know, you have to pay $10 for a pint of beer for each thing, and happy hour doesn't really mean anything unless you're going to order margaritas. And I also like cappuccinos and not real coffee.
I hear you, dude. So, all right. So for moving on, I think I bored and put everybody to sleep. If anyone's not asleep yet, okay. For our listeners out there, for anyone who has not fallen asleep yet, I am going to move on to my second favorite segment of the arcade. And it's sort of a love-hate relationship segment of the arcade. This was the prize section. Especially as a kid.
Oh, yeah. Those always made me feel like shit, too.
Especially as a dumb fucking kid. You loved it, but we were dumb enough to still want the shit in the case, but we were smart enough to know that when we got it, it was complete fucking garbage. But I don't understand why I always kept going back for more. It's like going up to the kid in the schoolyard that was like, if you sit next to me, I'm going to punch you. And you kept sitting next to him every fucking day. That's pretty much how I can explain arcade prizes, because we all knew what we were getting.
Yeah, we're like that little kid from fucking Oliver Twist or whatever, you know, going up, getting more shitty porridge. Please, sir, can I have some more?
Yeah, like, we all knew what we were getting, but for some fucked up reason, when we saw a bunch of shitty penny army men in a barrel together, or we saw these fucking, like, little rubber thumb caps that would pop up when you pushed them, or fucking balloons, or these fucking muscle men that would you throw them on the wall and they slowly climb down.
The little aliens.
Or glow in the dark fucking bugs, or fucking, you know, like I said, mustaches or mustache combs, like the stupidest fucking prizes, or the eyes with the googly fucking springs that come out of them, like just the most asinine fake barf, whatever, like the stupid shit, but like it would look so cool, and you would look in, and especially with the army men, you would see that one army man that looked awesome. Man, and every time they would grab the army man that you didn't.
Yeah.
fucking
You fucking want the guy with the
That would
flamethrower, and you get the guy with the metal detector.
This one, no, the one. Oh, this one, no. Listen, I got people waiting. Oh shit! And every fucking time they would give you the army man that I already have that one. I don't fucking want the fucking aid, the fucking guy holding the aid bag for the third fucking time I have him. I want the guy with the fucking bazooka, like.
Yeah, and not to mention, the reason why they would stand out so fucking cool, especially back then, was
amazing.
they'd have the massive fucking prizes that you would never, ever be able to get. Like a fucking Super Nintendo or the Game Gear bundle. You know, that's what would be up on the top shelf. And it wouldn't just be a normal Super Nintendo.
In a box, like
Yeah.
a Spider-Man action figure.
It wouldn't be the regular Super Nintendo either. It'd have to be like the cool fucking Donkey Kong one. Or the Lion King, you know, Game Gear bundle. And you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna get that. 5 million tickets. Fuck! It's never gonna happen. Now that we're older and I'm smart enough, you know, I've tried this once before. I've gone to a place and I'm like Chuck E. Cheese kind of a place, and I'm like, you know, I'll just give you the money for that, you know, Xbox. And like, oh, we can't do that. We can't do that. Fuck, why not?
Yeah. I was gonna say, there's actually some places I know in Jersey on the boardwalk, they'll let you just buy it. Like, they'll say, like, 20,000 tickets, or, like $50 or something, or $200 or whatever. Like some asinine fucking thing, where you can just buy it, like, with your cash. And I'm thinking to myself, when we have finally hit that point in society, when you can just buy the arcade fucking prize, what's the fucking point then? You know what I mean? Like, Jesus Christ. Like, but yeah, man, like.
Because we always think we're going to be that kid that's going to land in the fucking token slot where you get the 5 million, the one little sliver. You're going to get the token in there eventually. You have 50 tokens. One of them's going to hit that 5 million slot ticket thing. And you're going to get that Super Nintendo, but it never happens.
No. But that's what I'm saying. There was a weird aura about it. It was fun and exciting because you always thought that something fun was going to come out of it. You like, even just getting prizes, even if they were shitty, it was just the sheer excitement of knowing that you could get things, physical toys, for fucking shitty pieces of cardboard crap that came spitting out of the machine. I got 50,000 points and it spits out two little, and you go, oh my god, I got 10 points.
Dude, they totally, even as us as kids, like, they tried to groom us to be fucking addicted to gambling. Because it was like, it wasn't enough that you had to go and put quarters into the machine. Remember when they took those out and started actually using tokens, and you actually had to go to the fucking stupid dollar fucking machines and wait for it to shit out the tokens? That's even another thing. Cause
$1 got you 3 tokens, and you were like, wait a minute, this is kind of fucked up.
Yeah. It's like you made these special tokens, these special little gold tokens with a rat's face on it, for me to go play this game where I could have just put in the damn quarter.
I agree, dude. I completely fucking agree. But that's what I'm saying. Like, the screwed up part of it was I either spent or you could say wasted. I wasted a lot of my childhood playing the stupid ticket games instead of playing the cool, you know, arcade cabinet games, because I was obsessed, like you said, with getting prizes. I was obsessed with gambling. I was not interested in the experience. I was interested in, like, instant gratification. I needed to walk out of that fucking arcade with shitty army men and a Hot Wheels car and a piece of bubble gum, or else I was gonna fucking lose it.
Yeah.
You know?
Do yourself a favor. Anybody that's listening to this, if you have a Chuck E. Cheese or any kind of pizzeria or something like that where they have these machines like we're talking about now, you're going to be blown away, because there are no longer regular arcades in these places anymore. It is literally all gambling machines made for kids. None of them are arcades. And you're like, oh, well, what about the ball pit? Can't they go in the ball pit and play with the fucking balls and stuff like that? And, you know, I got a funny story about this, too. I'm going to segue right into that. Play in the ball pit, and, you know, maybe our kid will shit their pants and their diaper will come off in the ball pit, and someone will lose their wallet and dig around and find the dirty diaper instead. True story that happened to my dad. He lost his wallet in fucking Playland in the ball pit when he jumped in with us, and he went back in to find it, and he pulled out a shit diaper instead that had shit in it. Yeah, dude, but go into these places now, all it's going to be is these kid gambling machines. Even the ball pits and the fucking tubes and shit you used to be able to climb around in, all of it's gone, man. So there's...
Kids would piss themselves in it all the time.
Yeah, well, I'd rather have the kid have the experience of climbing around in another kid's piss and think it's sweat than have them get addicted to gambling on these little fucking machines just to get these shitty army men and shit like that like we were doing. Even now, they're like... It's not even cooler. It's cool as it was when we were kids. We got the army men with guns. Ooh, guns are bad now. We can't do that. So let's give them the fucking finger traps, you know, that are made of fucking paper that break in a second.
Did you guys have Discovery Zone on the West Coast?
Oh, yeah. The Kids Discovery Zone? Fuck yeah. That was one of the greatest fucking places ever fucking made. Had the fucking bazooka ball launcher. That was fucking cool. You know, you shoot that at some little kid's face as they're trying to go down the slide.
Good ball launcher.
Dude, it was so cool.
I can still see you playing that today in 2017.
But anyway, Chuck E. Cheese, man, fuck that place and fuck all the kid gambling machines. We bring back the arcades. You know what was cool also? Do you remember when they started incorporating virtual reality machines into arcades, like the very, very, very first, like, early virtual reality games, where they had the giant fucking helmets they would put on your head, and they would put you in the little circular thing, and you couldn't move outside of that? No?
No.
Well, you know, it was the Bay Area at the time. You know,
that must have been more of a West Coast thing. I'm not. I'm going to say this to my listeners. I don't know why, but obviously, as you all know, this is a very special podcast because this is a combination of a crazy, lunatic East Coast guy and they haven't even made a word for him yet, but a dude on the West Coast. He's so crazy they didn't even make a word for it yet. But there's a guy on the West Coast and a guy on the East Coast. We should actually call this the West Coast East Coast podcast. But either way,
coast to coast, I think that's already taken.
I'm sure.
Where they talk about aliens and supernatural and the lizard people that live in the middle of the earth. These are my closing thoughts on arcades before we wrap up this podcast, our first episode. Next episode is going to be a lot more organized. We're actually going to have topics. We're going to talk about all kinds of crazy shit. And but my final thoughts on the arcades. Arcades fucking ruled. The end.
All right, that was short and sweet by a very short and sweet man. I guess
I'm taller than you. So if I'm short, I'd like to know how you look at yourself, sir. Are you one of those guys that run around on the yellow brick road with the lollipops?
I'm about as tall as Charles Barkley.
Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road.
I'm as tall as Michael Jordan.
Yeah, maybe his baseball career.
Jesus. What is going on? All right, so my final closing thoughts on the arcade, I would say would be, as always, I have so much to say, so I'll just split it in two. The atmosphere, and all right, and then to close out my final feelings on the podcast, of course, like an asshole, I'm going to split it into two because I can never just say one. But I would say it would be the memories. Oh God, and the memories and the experience. As far as the experience goes, video games started out as a singular sort of system, one person and the TV. Then obviously they introduced a second controller and 2 people could play against each other. But at some point along the line, we got so good and so advanced with technology that the player disappeared from the room next to you and went next door, went to another town, went to another state, went overseas. Bringing it back to the arcade, there was certain machines and certain games like skee ball or air hockey or even multiplayer platformer games or side scrollers on cabinets where multiple people would play. And that ties into the first part, which I said memories. The memories and the experience are kind of interwoven like the letter S. It just kind of curves around and they all, or figure 8, so to speak, it all kind of comes around into. I've had so many great experiences, not only by myself, but with other people. And, you know, it's a lot of fun to play a video game with somebody in the same room. And it's a lot of fun to play a video game with somebody through an advanced online system in another state or country. But there's something to be said about playing a video game with somebody in the same room, in the same arcade, and you're facing each other, you know, like air hockey, or you're right next to each other competing in skee ball, or you're right next to each other fighting on a game, or you're right next to each other battling through a game like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, or the Simpsons arcade game, where you're teaming up with your friends and family and you are battling through the game. Those are some of my favorite experiences and memories that I will cherish forever, and no system and no online catalog or blog or whatever will ever bring back those feelings, because unless you were there at the physical arcade, there is something to be said, once again, about the word physical. That physicality of being there, of sweating, of grabbing that puck, putting it on the air hockey table, slapping it with that weird, I hate to say it,
the UFO?
dildo thing that, you know, it's cupping, you're cupping it with your palm. I mean, there's something.
I just always thought it was a UFO or a sombrero. I never thought dildo.
Yeah, the Heflin UFO from the 90s.
You would think it was a dildo.
I mean, there's just something to be said about those experiences and memories, and that is the best way that I can sum up any kind of talks, memories, feelings about the arcade.
And on a side note, we all know that Turtles in Time wasn't a cooperative experience. It was, let me get to the enemies first before the other people so I can get the higher number score, so I'll get extra lives when we get to this boss, because we know it's going to take like 3 of them away within the first 5 seconds.
Or you have that one person that always takes the pizza. Oh, sorry, that was by accident. Oh, sorry, I ate it again. That was by accident.
Yeah, or
it's like, dude, grab health. Stop eating the pizza.
Or you get that one hanger-oner kid that you don't even know that walks up and wants to play with you guys, and he uses like all of his special moves on the first stage. You're like, dude, you used Wolverine's special move before we even got to the boss.
We're on the water stage now.
Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you very much. Again, this is our first episode, and if you enjoyed what you heard here today, be sure, and you want more before the next episode, be sure to check out our individual YouTube channels. Mine is Retro or Die and Vlog or Die.
And I am Jazzy Jeff. You can find me at Jazzy Jeff 714 on YouTube, of course. You can also find me, I believe, at Jazzy Jeff 666 is my Twitter name. I have a lot of weird numbers. Of course, none of the websites will let me change them. But I have links to both my Twitter and my Facebook on my YouTube. So if you can find me on YouTube, you'll be able to find my social media websites. And just like Forrest said, thank you so much to everyone who took the time out of their day or night or schedule to listen to our podcast. We are the 16-bit dudes. And we obviously are going to discuss a multitude of topics, but we are always open to questions and suggestions. All right, so that's it. This has been the 16-bit dudes. Oh, fuck. All right. This has been the 16-bit. Oh, fuck. All right. I'm getting so worked up. That Steve Jobs phone is like distracting me. Okay. All right. This has been the 16-bit video dudes coming at you live here on our very own special podcast. I just want to say thanks to everyone who tuned in to listen to us. We thank all of the listeners who have joined in, and we hope that you guys totally enjoyed our show. As always, please share us around. Let your friends, family, hey, even your grandma know. We would love
to finger blast her.
Spread around. Oh my God. So I'm going to end the show here before Forrest gets any more raunchy. Thanks so much once again for listening to the 16-bit video dudes. Have yourselves a great rest of your day or night.
Beautiful. And I got that on video.
I'm fine with that.